Following the construction of roller coaster at Blackpool Pleasure Beach in 1933, American roller coaster designer Charles Page worked on designing and constructing the Grand National with his countryman Harry G. Traver, who at the time had just built the Cyclone Racer at Long Beach, California. The Grand National, designed as a racing roller coaster as well as the Cyclone Racer, opened at Blackpool Pleasure Beach in 1935.
The Grand National was constructed differently though. It is a Mobius loop roller coaster. A Mobius loop roller coaster is where the roller coaster trains appear to swap tracks without any crossover happening. For many riders this is confusing as the tracks are side by side throughout most of the ride. Despite appearing to have two tracks, the Grand National is a continuous single track roller coaster that makes two parallel circuits. It passes through the station twice and technically only takes passengers around half of the full circuit each time, unless they manage to stay on the ride as it passes through the station and sets off again.
Roller coaster enthusiasts have debated whether the Grand National is 1 or 2 credits on their coaster counts for as long as time. The Grand National was only the 5th Mobius Loop roller coaster to open anywhere in the world. The first was John A. Miller's Derby Racer, which opened in 1913 at Eclude Beach, Cleveland, Ohio. The Grand National is currently one of only 2 operating Mobius Loop roller coasters in the world, which opened before the Second World War. The other is Kennywood's Racer, which opened in 1927.
At the time of the opening, the Grand National would cost riders a shilling and packed in around 2,000 riders per hour. The Grand National Station was designed by leading British modernist architect Joseph M Burton, who had previously designed the station for the Pleasure Beach's miniature railway, now known as the Pleasure Beach Express.
Joseph M Burton was a huge part of bringing Leonard Thompson's plans to life as he looked to modernise Blackpool Pleasure Beach. The Grand National may have been the park's new signature attraction, but it was only part of what was known at the time as the greatest programme of capital expansion in the history of the Pleasure Beach.
Joseph M Burton would remain as Blackpool Pleasure Beach's official architect until his death in 1956. In 1990, the decision was taken to address previous alterations made to M Burton's Grand National Station. It was a complete rebuild of the station based on the original drawings.
In the 1990s, during the busy days of Paper Ride at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, the Grand National operated with 4-carriage trains rather than the 3-carriage trains it operated with in the 2000s, 2010s and recent times. This was to maximise throughputs, which maximised the income per train, because back in the 90s there was no wristbands and every rider had to pay every time they wanted to ride.
In May 2004, the Grand National had a fire which caused the station to be destroyed, along with 2 of the trains. The Grand National's fire would also cause damage to Alice in Wonderland and Trauma Towers. A few days after the fire, a sign was placed outside of the Grand National's entrance saying, "We have the technology, we will rebuild it."
The Grand National reopened in October 2004. It was a quick and impressive turnaround by the Pleasure Beach to have all of the repair work done in a quick turnover of time. In the 2005 season, the Grand National operated with its 2 remaining trains, and partway through the season it became common knowledge that a new set of trains had been purchased which would be in place for the 2006 season. The new trains would be provided by the Philadelphia Toboggan Coasters Incorporated Company, for short PTC. Whilst the trains may look similar to those on other wooden roller coasters, they were custom designed for the Grand National so that they could be lighter than the standard trains of a similar design.
PTC have been in business since 1904. During that time, they have constructed roller coasters, repaired existing roller coasters, provided wooden roller coaster trains, and there's so much more that they've done and still do.
The new trains for the Grand National meant that modernisation work in the station was required too. A computerised braking system was added to the Grand National, which meant it would no longer be manually operated. The computerised braking system has not been without its problems though, as the trains can no longer be dispatched from the loading position before the other trains have returned to the station. This was never the case while the Grand National was manually operated. The trains were regularly dispatched long before the inbound trains returned to the station. The computerised system was put in place by a company called Comeback.
In 2020, the Grand National reached its 85th year anniversary. In those 85 years, the famous wooden roller coaster has thrilled many generations of thrill seekers whilst having a fascinating history.
Will the Grand National reach its 100th anniversary in 2035 without significant changes? Time will certainly tell. Many thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon in the next Pleasure Beach Experience video.